tell you one thing, Dean Leggy, Matt DeBerry. One of the best games that I've ever seen in college football was C.J. Stroud and Ohio State playing Georgia on New Year's Eve night at the Peach Bowl. It was in my time watching football, it was better than the Rose Bowl with Georgia and Oklahoma. It was just such a monumental game, and the winner of that game was going to win the national championship, and you knew it building up. As the Ohio State fans were going crazy watching on the circular Tron at the top of the dome, watching Michigan lose to TCU, and then a few minutes later, here comes C.J. Stroud putting on the performance of a lifetime, and now he's followed that up, Matthew, with I say Matthew. Now he's followed up, Matt, with a season in the NFL that was spectacular. And now he's got something to say about Matthew Stafford, which is very curious.
Yeah, he knows ball. And this is what he had to say. I guess in one of those player podcasts that got released, he said,
Those are dangerous.
Those are dangerous. Yeah, when you're free talking like that. But he said, if you gave Matthew Stafford a chance like Aaron Rodgers had, I guarantee you he might have more rings for sure. Now, it's an odd quote because to guarantee something might happen, it just seems really funny to me. I guarantee you, Dean, that Georgia might win another national championship. But I think I get his point, and that is that Matthew Stafford, who is probably going into the Hall of Fame, still might be underrated or still not get the credit that he deserves. If you talk about arm strength, Matthew Stafford is right up there with Brett Favre, Dan Marino, John Elway. And again, Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks of all time. I know he's just got the one Super Bowl, probably should have more. Matthew Stafford has one, but I guess his point, if you threw Matthew Stafford in Green Bay for that whole time and had that offensive line and those weapons, yeah, he had Calvin Johnson in Detroit, but that was it. And he was young, right? He was thrown into the fire in Detroit and had Calvin Johnson, who was in his prime for a little bit, but he was not put in a great position. And C.J. Stroud's basically saying Matthew Stafford is better than everyone thinks. And if he were put in a better position like the one Aaron Rodgers was in, that he would have 3 or 4 rings, which, I mean, says a lot. But Matthew Stafford has a crazy arm, Dean, and you covered him in high school. You know his talent and his ability as well as anyone.
Well, no, let me say this. So I covered the Falcons briefly. Thankfully, I never have to do that again. And I remember the first time I saw Michael Vick throw a football, and it was like a Martian had come in. You know, you're seeing a guy throw. It's hard to say. And you immediately think to say he threw darts, but he was doing it left-handed, which was even odder. And I remember the first time I saw Matthew Stafford throw a football. Those are the two people I remember. Everybody else has kind of been in the same universe of things. But what C.J. Stroud is trying to say, and he corrected himself with the maybe part, is Matthew Stafford got one shot and he won his. Aaron Rodgers got a lot of shots and he failed a lot. He just did. And we'll see what happens with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. But when you start to get to our age, your body does break down and you can't recover quickly. Matthew's got a few more seasons. I do not anticipate Matthew will win another Super Bowl, Matt. But you know, when we were talking, we ate downtown in Athens after baseball on Saturday night, and we were talking about it was Matthew and who? Matt Ryan or Matthew and who? Somebody else. We were talking about Trevor and Matthew and Matt Ryan, and there was another quarterback. I can't remember who it was, but you know, Matthew Stafford's still playing, and he's got 55,000 total yards. Is that right? It was some.
It's up there.
It was some insane number. I don't know if Matthew will get into the Hall of Fame. I think he should. Y'all's contention was he's gone past Matt Ryan because of the Super Bowl win. I don't think the Jets are winning the Super Bowl. I don't think Matthew Stafford's winning another Super Bowl, but I don't think the Jets are winning the Super Bowl. So I think that Aaron Rodgers and Matthew Stafford are going to end up with the same number of Super Bowls as that crazy coach at UAB. You know, everything is not created equally. Trent Dilfer, everything is not created equally in the NFL. You know, Matthew Stafford is one of the most Matthew Stafford in terms of pure talent, arm talent, football knowledge. Matthew Stafford was a football. Aaron Murray was a football dork. Matthew Stafford was a football nerd. He loved it. He wanted. I remember talking to his mom about if he was going to leave early or not. And all Matthew ever wanted to do, Matt, was play football or baseball or sports. And whenever I talk about Matthew, I want to say this: I'm very happy Kelly is not that Kelly has gotten through what she's gotten through. I could not imagine the stress that Matthew has been through over the last 7 years of his life. It's been a lot. I have to say, he's handled everything as a professional, whether it was the transition from Detroit to Los Angeles, having to deal with the illness of his wife.
4 daughters?
He has 4 daughters. You and I both know any child complicates the equation significantly. 4 girls is, for me, the universe saying hello to Matthew 20 years later. But it's... I've always liked Matthew. Let's put that to the side and take a look at what he did. He has been he will be one of the folks that during a time in which Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady have dominated the NFL, I would say Matthew is certainly top 5 in terms of talent for 20 years or 15 years. He's been on the wrong team. That's what Stroud's right about. And Stroud, by the way, could be on the wrong team too. So he knows, wrong franchise, but he knows, Matt.
Yeah. Well, he's got some weapons this year. I forgot. I think they brought in Diggs from.
That's right.
From Buffalo. But, I think Matthew Stafford and Matt Ryan are both deserving to be in the Hall of Fame just because it's so hard to play in the league that long,
right?
Too. I mean, we've seen first-round picks, top 10 picks, in and out of the league, and boom, they're done a few years. These guys, what they were able to do.
One thing we talked about, both Matt Ryan and Cam Newton have MVPs. Matthew Stafford never has one. And that was one thing that Dylan was saying when we were talking. That might be a problem for the Hall of Fame. I just think...
What about Phillip Rivers?
I think Phillip Rivers should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, listen, here's my category, okay? This is my... And I like this person a lot. I think he's a Hall of Fame worthy a football player. Eli Manning will be in the Hall of Fame. Matt Ryan and Matthew Stafford have better careers, in my opinion. The statistics are slightly better, or they are better. They just don't both have 2 Super Bowl wins. And I think Eli should be given credit for those moments, that time, the ability to move in the pocket, 2 hands on the ball when he hit with the Tyreek throw. I hear Richard Sherman, who definitely has a lot to say. That Stanford education is coming through, and he'll be in there, and he's saying everybody can't be in there. Yeah, everybody can't, but the people that should be in there, and Matthew Stafford should be in there. If Eli Manning should be in there, Matthew Stafford should be in there, no question.
I don't know if you can play your way out of the Hall of Fame, but I think Russell Wilson would always look like a surefire Hall of Famer at the beginning of his career, and he's kind of turned into I don't want to say a bad quarterback, but he's average to below average right now.
I think he probably does go, but yeah, I agree, man. I mean, that's not been pretty lately. I mean, but Brett Favre only won 1, right? Yeah. So, and he lost to John Elway when John Elway wasn't going to get any, and then he got 2. So, Brett Favre has done all he can since he won that Super Bowl to ruin his life, legacy, all of it, going to the Vikings and the Jets, and then all this stuff in Mississippi with whatever sort of felony. I can't remember if it was fraud or embezzlement or whichever, but he's done all he can do. But he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame too. If Russell Wilson doesn't get in, I'd be surprised. I mean, right now you've got a lot of guys. We have the golden age of quarterbacks, but no one. I mean, Matthew Stafford is, for me. Patrick Mahomes is my one. Joe Burrow is way up there too. Matthew Stafford's is in their universe. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback, perhaps of all time. We're going to see. Perhaps of all time. Go ahead, wrap us up.
He could be the best of all time down the road. Yep. I guarantee you he might be one of the best.
Yeah, I mean,
a guaranteed might. Yeah, love that.
Oh, he might be. You're guaranteeing might.
I guarantee he might be. Yeah.
I might guarantee that you should make sure that you're watching all of our videos. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.